Riding on a Harley Davidson, you don't have a ceiling over you. You're out there. There's nothing between you and the road and the air. You're going through nature, and when I see things outside, I don't see anything ugly outside. Just the appreciation of life, which we all take for granted.
Young man driving the SUV ran the stop sign and hit Dave on his motorcycle. Then we transferred him over to the helicopter and they took him to Strong Memorial. He told me to tell his wife that he loved her and tell his dad he was sorry.
They told me that it was pretty horrific, that Dave was pretty bad.
When I first heard about the accident, I was in shock.
There was probably like 7 doctors, one right after the other, that just kept coming in.
He had multiple organ injuries. He had a pulmonary contusion. He had rib fractures.
His leg was mutilated. I've never seen anything like that.
Dave sustained multiple fractures in his lower extremities. Dr. Gorska had to provide internal fixation to stabilize those injuries. Had he not had that done, he could have lost his leg. He dislocated his spine in 2 separate regions and had 2 separate spinal cord injuries.
It was nuts. I put my head next to his and I said, "Don't you dare die."
The surgery had to realign both dislocation injuries, put the spinal column back in place, and decompress the pressure off of the injured spinal cord in both places. Many of us on the care team were worried that he was not going to make it. He remained in a coma for almost 3 weeks.
Dr. Molinari was very optimistic. He'd come in and say, you know, he's going to be independent in a chair. He's going to do everything he did before, except he'll be in a chair. And I just remember like meeting with one of the other doctors, and I had said to him, "What does that mean, really?" And he just looked at me and he said, "Your husband has a complete spinal cord injury. He has no movement from below the injury." He said, "He has less than a 1% chance of ever walking again." How do you tell somebody who's in the best health of his entire life that you're not going to be able to do the things that you were doing before? So, you know, I just kept saying, "Well, what, you know, are you sure you can't, like, move your foot?" I don't know, one day we were just sitting there and I was like, "Come on, just move your toe." And he did. I mean, it was just the slightest, you know, response, but we were just like, "Did you see that?"
She flipped back the covers and he wiggled his toe, and I felt like crying.
When Dr. Molinari came in and I was like, "Hey," I go, "check this out. He's like, you should see what he's doing."
I was exhilarated. We were euphoric.
Once we got home, I was like, what do we need to do to keep him comfortable so, you know, he can function in the house?
I waited for the dust to settle, and then I just said, "Hey, I want to come over and we'll play around a little bit."
Lee is family. He's like your father, uncle, brother, nephew. He is like best friend all rolled into one.
I said, "Well, let's see if we can just get you on the floor."
And before I knew it, he's in the living room and he's like, "Come on, you can do this." And I'm in the kitchen, I'm thinking, "Oh my God, what are they doing in there?"
I felt that. How's that feel, Murph?
Yeah, that hurts. That hurts.
The first year was just trying to get him so he can stand up.
The back foot.
Because of his drive, it drove me.
The two of them are always coming up with these goals.
He said, "We're going to try to walk again."
Dave decided that he was going to do this 5K.
Nork has a new comfort home called Laurel House, so he thought that would be a great way to raise money for that cause. I said, "If you really must do this, then we'll do it." His father started it off with his old Red Ryder BB gun to start the race off, and off we went. And we just kept going, one foot in front of the other.
It's like watching one of your kids learn how to walk, I think.
They're out there applauding them and they're rooting them on, and he ain't gonna let anybody down. It's just people helping people. It's a wonderful thing to watch.
People were chanting, Murphy strong.
He goes, how much farther, how much farther? And
people that had passed us in the 5K that actually came back to walk with us as he crossed the finish line.
I could be the hero high up on that silver screen. And I could be the figurehead of high society.
He did it in 2 hours and 14 minutes and 36 seconds. And he raised a lot of money, which was great. He raised almost $5,000.
And he's not done.
When I first got out of the hospital, Tracy took me out for the first time on the wheelchair, and boom, it was bright. And we went by a pine tree, and I reached out and I grabbed some needles, and I broke them up and smelled them and started crying because I almost never smelled them again. If we could have that outlook every day, maybe everybody's supposed to almost die once. But
Miracle. Rock star.
He's my hero.
He does it because he wants to be a better person. And I don't think he's going to stop until he's back to where he was 4 years ago.
I think he might run his next 5K.
If he told me he was going to fly, I would believe him.
There's no stopping him, I don't think.
I just figured when I got hit, God gave me a bigger challenge. There's hardly words to say the gratitude I have to my wife and Lee and the doctors that put Humpty Dumpty back together.
Anything's possible. Anything.
It's not just fighting through this, it's fighting through this with someone else.